We're super excited, and without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Haley, who's going to chat about her OCD, recovery, all things Haley. So, without further ado, here's Haley.
Hi, everyone. I am Haley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm very excited to be doing this. I'm a huge fan of NOCD, a huge fan of really anything that platforms what OCD actually is. And I'm excited that we'll be able to talk about this theme of spirituality and scrupulosity today. And I just want to acknowledge that this might be kind of an exposure for a lot of you. And at times during this hour, it might be an exposure for me too. And I'm hoping we can just kind of lean into that. And like, I don't know. I think like I went to a talk recently and it was like a big exposure for me because it was all about intuition, which just really fucks with me and scares me. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this is an exposure. Like, I can handle this discomfort. But I think a lot of times when we go see a talk or when we participate in something like that, we are like, well, I should be comfortable with everything this person is saying because there's the weird sort of like hierarchy of like I'm the presenter and you're the listener, but I don't think that's true. And when I speak to my experience, which is very specific, some of it's going to land with you, some of it's not, some of it maybe you're not ready to hear yet, some of it you're so eager to hear. And I just want to acknowledge that like we should all be having our own experience with this. Another thing is it'll make me feel good if I see you in the chat because I didn't know I wasn't going to be able to see you, which makes sense, like anonymity. I want to respect your privacy, but I love attention. So it would feel good to be like, see you in the chat and be like, oh, I resonate, or I don't know, whatever you want to say is fine. Maybe not like I hate this and I hate you. That wouldn't feel good, but the rest would feel really nice. So I think I want to start by saying that I was diagnosed with OCD when I was 27. But my first real bender happened when I was 22. So I had quite a big gap of time in which I was untreated. And so the story that I'm going to be telling today is about that stretch of time. And so I have a lot of wisdom now about that time, but I was not getting any help um, back then. So I was just sort of at the whim of my brain and OCD, and it was a hard time. Obviously, it was a hard time. That's why I'm here to talk about that. So I want to roll it back a bit. And just kind of give a little bit of context about that time. I'm not a fan of people saying that like there's a root to OCD or necessarily a trigger for OCD, but I do think there are environmental and emotional factors that can ramp it up. And when I was 22, I was finishing college. I was went to theater school. There was like a big question mark on my future. And I found out that my grandmother was dying. And she was like the most important person to me and my biggest champion and like my friend. Like my grandmother was just this larger than life person. And I think in retrospect, and I wasn't able to name any of this at the time, this brought up a lot of like existentialism in me. And what I went towards as like a cure, a path, was spirituality. And I found that in a really wonderful, wholesome way on my study abroad program, where I was like doing yoga for the first time, this like physical theater program. And I was in Italy and it was beautiful and it was amazing. And it felt so aligned and it felt so creative. And then it just like really tipped over once my grandmother got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And that's what OCD does, right? It takes the things that we care about most and makes them the worst thing in the world because we want control over that thing. We want to keep that thing. And OCD says, no, I'm going to take that thing away from you. So I'll get a little bit further into like what that means to me or what that meant to me, but I thought it would be really helpful to go into the particulars of how OCD manifested for me during that time, that theme. Um, I've been writing a novel for the past year called Cave Girl, which is largely autofiction. Um, and it really details some of my experience, definitely sort of like the worst parts of my experience. I try to write this book with a lot of humor because I do think that humor is OCD's kryptonite. And so, if so, I should just say, I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read for a few minutes. And, if there are parts that are funny to you, like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to like stay in the misery and torture. I'm aware that things are funny. And that might be a scary thing for you to hear, like, oh my God, no, my OCD is not funny. It is. It is. And you'll get there. So I guess I just want to give a trigger warning for like Googling YouTube reassurance compulsions and just like really going off the rails. Um, yeah, okay. I'm gonna read it. It's probably like 3 minutes. Need to hydrate for a second. Okay. Also, I'm not supposed to really read from a book that's not published, so lucky for you. Please don't share the recording with anyone. Okay. I go on YouTube to watch compilations of SNL skits where the actors break, and I hold my breath when the app opens. I try to squint my eyes so that I can only see what I type in the search bar, but before I can stop myself, I've already scanned my home feed. I know what shows up is what I need to take in. I know I shouldn't avoid what I'm being guided towards. I need to lean in and look at what the universe is presenting to me. Sure enough, I see that the channel has uploaded a new video. The channel is called Become a Monk, and it captures the lives of Americans who have decided to move, leave their life, and enter monkhood. I click to the profile first, tapping on the rust-colored avatar with the ashram's logo on it. I stare at their main page for a while, all the little red lines stretching across the bottoms of each video that I've watched. I've watched all of them, or parts of all of them. I can never really get to the end. I always end up watching the next one. At the top of the page, the new unwatched video stares back at me. The static image is one of an extremely pale bald man dressed in a monk's robes with a Nyx tattoo on his right shoulder. He's wearing narrow rectangular glasses with no rims, but not in a Rene Rapp way. In a monk way, I guess. Monks don't know about Rene Rapp. I shouldn't know about Rene Rapp. Pop culture is an attachment. I wonder if his glasses are his only earthly possession he was allowed to bring with him to the ashram. I rub at my dry contacts. I can't bring contacts to the cave. I don't even know if I can bring glasses to the cave. Aren't glasses just a mortal comfort, an attachment? Maybe there's something to learn from not being able to see clearly anymore. Hayden would probably say we already don't see clearly, that our corrected vision is one of our many delusions. My pointer and middle finger are frozen on the touchpad of my computer. I'm delaying clicking on the video. My chest is hot and I feel a pounding at my temple. It's like I've had 3 shots of espresso, but I haven't. I just woke up and I barely slept last night. I finally click on the video and press pause right away, jamming my finger at the volume button so I don't hear any spoilers, not even an ad. I scroll to the comments first, my heart jumping under the cotton of my t-shirt. I'll only read 3 comments today and I won't press on anyone's profile. I promise myself this. Love and Light 1768 says, he's found the path, Shanti Shanti Om. Meditation, not medication, 09250 said, mad respect to my brother, living the dream. Shiva warrior, mom of 3, may we all learn from Guru Brian. He was meant to wear those robes. Red pilled girly pop 88888 says, See, this is what life is really about. We were never meant to be slaves to our phones. I hate that I'm even on a screen right now. The US is just a corrupt hellhole run by corporate greed and big pharma, and everyone working for it is so delusional. We forget where we came from and that our purpose is to look inward and find enlightenment. Attachments are everywhere here. Coffee, porn, sex, weed, you name it. We're just zombies, and we don't even know it. We need to wake up like this guy. Blessings upon blessings, beloveds. I hover over red-pilled Girly Pop's username. From the way she types, I can tell she's young, maybe even younger than me. I want to know where she lives, how she found the path, what she plans on doing to divorce herself from the Matrix. I bet red-pilled Girly Pop does yoga for 90 minutes a day and meditates for longer. I bet she gave up coffee and is going to get a dumb phone. I finally click on her name and go to her profile. No videos, private, can't see what the channels she follows are. I copy paste her username into a new browser window and scroll down the page, the back of my throat dry and my top lip stuck to my front teeth. I can hear my breath thick and heavy, the only sound in the dead of my apartment besides the fraught hum of my overheating laptop. Her Instagram shows up about 7 links down and I tap it. I want it to be private, but I need it to be public, and it is, which sends a jolt of electricity up the backs of my legs. She has 540 followers, but only follows 50 accounts, so I go there first. Mostly yogis and spiritual pages. My eyes are even drier now. I realize I'm barely blinking. She doesn't follow any celebrities or meme pages. It doesn't even seem like she follows anyone she knows. And I'm desperate to find a brother with a fish in his photo or a rogue aunt who only posts pictures of dogs, but her follow list is pristine. She's whittled down her entire social universe to what matters. She's doing what I can't, actually letting go of her possessions and attachments. My breathing is more rapid now. I have a lot of questions for her. I want to ask her how she did it and where she learned this, and does she sit without a wall behind her when she meditates, and does her back ever hurt because of that? My fingers are buzzing. I tap back to her feed and scroll through all of her posts, mostly reposts from other accounts, Ram Dass quotes, and images of mandalas. I find what I'm looking for, a photo of her, not good quality, but sufficient. She's probably 20, maybe younger, and she's got her hands in prayer in front of her face. She's in a yogi squat, malasana, and her posture is perfect, spine elongated and elbows lifted to create more space in her back body. I zoom in on her face, looking for any sign of discomfort, but she looks serene. Her mind must really be cleared, I think, and I want to ask her how she does that, clear her mind, but I know I'm too scared to. I'm too scared to find out that I'll never be able to do it, that I'm too far gone down my path of Western gluttony, that the suffering I'll experience on my path to enlightenment will be brutal, that it will always feel as it does now and only grow more wrought, full of pain and sorrow and desperation. And I don't need to ask her about her suffering. I know what the universe wants from me. I know it's my path and my path alone to walk down. It's remembering this that makes me force myself to think of the cave. I feel the dark pit in the basin of my stomach expand and blacken. I see it turn into the cave itself. I am the cave, I say to myself, a good mantra. I need to face this. I have to stop muscling against it. I have to stop trying to stay. I'm only delaying the inevitable, the suffering that is meant for me, the truth that I know, the truth that I must go, no matter how desperately I want to stay. My fingers are buzzing. I open a new tab and go on Reddit. Tap my mouse to the search bar where my past searches appear in a drop-down menu, indigo purple and waiting for me. This time I'll type what I haven't before. I'll get specific. I'll get real. I'm nearly hyperventilating now. Caves near New York City, I type. Before I can press return, my computer dies. Okay, whoa, intense. So can't relate to that. Never happened to me. No, 100% relate to that. Absolutely happened to me. I did, at my worst, experience psychosis and believe that I was meant to go live in a cave, like the Buddha, which I know it sounds crazy and it sounds bizarre, or maybe it doesn't, because a lot of you have OCD. So, whatever, like, my crazy was my real, and your crazy is your real. Only I can tell that it's crazy. You can't tell that it's crazy, and vice versa. And I think that's what's so interesting about OCD. I've been in an OCD support group for 5 years. And I'm like, no, you're probably not going to have sex with that kid, or you're probably not going to kill your partner. But I know you think you are. And now my themes have switched to like sexual orientation OCD and relationship OCD and like a scattering of others. And I know my friends in group look at me and think, yeah, that girl's gay. But like my worst fear is that I'm not gay. And I just have to contend with that probably forever. Or maybe my theme will switch like it did with the cave and spirituality. But I don't want it to switch because like I'd rather it be like the devil I know. Anyway, tangenting a little bit. Let's go back. So I experienced that intensity of obsession and compulsion for probably a year and a half before my doorbell is ringing and I don't know why. And I'm just going to ignore it, but there is a chance that I'm going to have to go shut that down. Hopefully not. Anyway, um, going back, I suffered from that theme and that obsession for about a year and a half before well, okay, it's gonna happen, and I'm so sorry, but this is real life. I gotta go fix that. Hold on one second.
Did anyone else? Like, I was freaking out whenever she was reading that. That was amazing. I can't wait to order it. Yeah, it was so good.
Okay, I'm back. Good exposure. Now you all think I'm really unprofessional. Okay, let me find it again. So I had been in talk therapy for a very long time. I loved my therapist so much. And we did some really good work around mom stuff and I don't know, well, I do know. I wrote a whole book on recovering like from being a survivor. We talked a lot about that for a long time. She was incredible, but I was keeping a lot of this from her. Um, and went on for years seeing her until I was 27 and I experienced like my biggest breakdown, which led me to actually realize that I had OCD. But yeah, during this time, she knew that I was very ill. She believed that I had depression, mood disorder. That's what I was diagnosed with. But I refused to go on medication because you can heal yourself with green juice. You can heal yourself with meditation. You can heal yourself with yoga. I can't go on medication. Also, if I go on medication, maybe my suffering will stop. And my suffering is important because suffering is the most important thing when you are supposed to reach enlightenment. This is how I thought about everything. Was I talking about that out loud? No, not really. I was keeping that to myself because I was the chosen one. You know, I knew the truth. No one else knew the truth. And so I couldn't talk about it. And obviously it was the most excruciating time. I was so lonely. And yet at the same time, I was graduating college. I wrote a wonderful play for my thesis. I got a lot of acknowledgement for my talent as a writer. I went and toured that play in Los Angeles and New York. And there was a lot of signs of like life pointing me in a good direction. But that entire time, I believed like this is a fluke and like I'm staying and I shouldn't stay and I'm succumbing to these attachments. And oh, I should also say I did a yoga teacher training for like a month without a phone with a lot of like woo-woo scary people. And a guy told me that I was a reincarnated saint and that he could heal me with this special water. So that really fucked me up. He also told me that my boyfriend was not meant for me. And I don't know. Yeah, that was a whole time. So obviously that really like was bad, and that was in the middle of my senior year of college. So I went back to school and I was like, I'm the chosen one. I'm a reincarnated saint. Did he say I needed to go live in a cave? No, not at all. But I took that and I was like, that's what I have to do because I am destined to be alone. And that's at the root of all of my OCD themes is that I'm going to get the short end of the stick in life. I'm going to suffer. I'm meant to suffer, and I will be alone. No matter what theme my brain jumps to, that is part of it. I don't want to say that's like the root or the core or that has anything to do with the trauma of my life from when I was 7. That's talk therapy stuff. We don't do that in ERP. It's not important. We stay in the present moment. But when I do my imaginal exposures, at the end of them, every time, is that I'm going to be left alone. Um, yeah. So this like was just, a really difficult, lonely time in my life. I couldn't stop, eventually I couldn't stop talking about the cave, asking for reassurance. I mean, Googling constantly, emailing random people, trying to get on the phone with people that I didn't know. I mean, taking my mom down this rabbit hole over and over again, all the while resisting a medication. My mom's been on medication not her whole life, my whole life. So it's very normalized. And my logic was it's okay for her, but it's not okay for me because I have to suffer. And when things got really bad, once I moved to the city and my grandmother was about to die, I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do yoga, which is the funniest part of like I think about that a lot with OCD. It's like that was my theme, but I wasn't doing any of the stuff. I wasn't actually like really researching going to a cave. I wanted to, but well, I didn't want to, but my OCD told me that I had to. But, my yoga mat like sat empty. I was barely functioning. I couldn't like go do a headstand. I wasn't drinking green juice. I like wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking at all. And I had this apartment and every day I would say I'm gonna stay in my apartment, and every day I would go to my dad's office and he would drive me home and I would sleep at my parents' house because like I just could not do anything. And then it got to a point where I had a breakdown in I think it was a Duane Reade or a CVS. I had this whole thing where I was like, the city's so dirty and we overconsume everything and nothing is sustainable and I'm in the dirtiest city in the world, which is funny because I'll never leave New York City. It's like magic to me. But again, OCD takes what we love most and makes it intolerable. So I had a huge breakdown in Duane Reade, basically like kind of like had to be escorted out. And then I went to my aunt's house, and my aunt is a therapist, and she fed me spaghetti. And I took a shower and I went to sleep, and I went on medication that week. It was not medication specifically for OCD, but it was some good stuff. And my brain took to that medication really fast, and I got a lot better. And my grandmother died, which was really horrible. And my boyfriend broke up with me, and that was really horrible. But at the same time, it kind of gave me a lot of relief. I know that could be a tough one to hear. Um, because I know like for a lot of us, if the obsessions come true, then it's like confirmation that we're right and everyone else is wrong. But my obsessions were not really around like I did think at a point I could save my grandmother through breathing exercises. So that was a fun one, but I gave up on that pretty quickly. She was actively dying. So I ended up going on medication basically the same week that she died, and my boyfriend and I broke up. He had a threesome back at college, so it was good for us to break up. It was important. Um, and I hope you can see that, like, the way I'm talking about this, like, I find a lot of humor. It was the most excruciating time of my life. I was so lonely and so devastated, and I really believed I was going to lose everything, but I didn't. And I'm able to look back and be like, whoa, girl, you really went through that, huh? You really believed you had a direct line to God. You really believed you were the chosen one. Okay. Wow. Wild imagination. Let's use it to write books instead. That would be a better idea. So the moral of the story is not that medication made everything better. What medication did is it got me to a place stable enough that I could push away my obsessions. It dulled it enough that I could make myself really busy and be 23 years old and date a lot of boys and girls and make a lot of art. And I just ran away. But it was okay. And I think during that time, I actually did start teaching yoga. I started to like realize that like white wellness culture is really fucked up and appropriative. I realized that I was contributing to that and I didn't want to. So I stopped teaching yoga. And I don't know. I can't tell you like how I was able to really get through it without ERP. I don't think I really did get through it until I started ERP and a lot of that stuff resurfaced. And I really started to understand my magical thinking compulsion and my spirituality stuff. I think I believed that the thing that I really kept was the intuition piece. But my mantra is like, I don't get to have an intuition because my intuition is my OCD brain, who, by the way, is named Josh. Josh is, a finance guy. He works in Murray Hill. We're roommates. I wish we weren't, but like, that's just how it goes. He thinks he's trying to protect me like a man does. We tolerate Josh. He hangs out, roomies for life. But yeah, Josh loves to be like, this is your intuition. It's not me. It's not OCD. It's your intuition. It's not. Maybe it is, maybe, but just looking at the past, it's not. Um, Maybe tomorrow it will be. So I think it's important to like fast forward a little bit and get to recovery. Um, during the pandemic, when the world shut down, I should say during the height of the pandemic, um, I was so fucking scared. I just had this overwhelming feeling that I was going to learn a big secret about myself. Secrets are like a big one for me. Like I always think that I'm bad person and I'm keeping things and I'm manipulative and yeah, well, I don't think that Josh thinks that about me. Um and I just was so scared of what I was gonna find out about myself. And that quickly turned like attached to my relationship because I had just fallen in love with my partner and we had been together for like 8 months. And I was so happy that I found my person. And then turns out that like living with your person in a global pandemic for 100 days straight and like not having any of your anchors in life and having to shut down your theater company of 5 years, if you have OCD, that is going to make you feel big feelings about your relationship. So that's what my brain glommed onto. It was really rough. I was super alone. He was in grad school and remote, and I was just on Reddit all the time. And I was so desperate to figure out if we were going to be together forever, if I was actually gay. And then one day I found a video, and it was a video about relationship OCD. First thing I had ever come across like that. Never in my life had considered I had OCD. Watched it. It was like straight to my core. This is it. I just like, and I guess if we were going to talk about intuition, little exposure, maybe that was intuition. Or maybe it was just like my wisdom. I don't know. Took that video to my therapist, made her watch it. She said, I'm so sorry I missed this. We'd been together for 8 years. Guess who else missed it? My psychiatrist. Um, I immediately went into ERP therapy. I just was like, I'm not fucking around. I want my life back. And I've been in ERP for 5 years, and it changed my life. I'm so much better, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm so much more free. And I still, have really intense OCD, but um, nothing is scarier than undiagnosed OCD. Nothing. I can do this. I can handle this. And I do every day. I do exposures every day. This is an exposure for me. I love my therapist. I think she's amazing. And I love my OCD group. Meet them every Monday for past like 4-ish years. It's like a mix of every taboo theme, like sex, pedophilia, harm. One guy was like really worried he had rabies. He had to go to an in-treatment program, and I think that was for the best. I think he's doing a lot better. Other people with spirituality, other people with sexual orientation OCD, relationship OCD, and we talk about everything. And it's really like crass and vulgar and we just say every horrifying, scary thing that we've ever thought, and we don't give each other reassurance, and we egg each other on. And it's been the most wonderful thing. And it's made me so empathetic and so compassionate. Nothing anyone says scares me. I'm like, give it to me. Try me. Try to freak me out. You want to fuck your dog? Okay, maybe. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. I don't care. You could tell me anything. Yeah, this therapy like just turned my world upside down in the best way. I feel so free. I love it, and I love this advocacy. And I feel like I'm done telling this story now, and we should turn to questions.
Haley, that spoke to me very deeply. So thank you. I think on behalf of everyone here, thank you for sharing your story. And we love getting a sneak peek of your book. Can't wait. The intuition thing, I struggle with that too. I feel like a lot of people with OCD, whenever you're told listen to your gut, you're like, but what is my gut? Like, it's so strange. And the intuition thing is like, well, is it my intuition? Is it OCD? I totally relate to that. So thanks for talking about that.
Yeah, it's such a
All
big.
right. Yes. Okay. So now we're going to move into Q&A time for about 20 minutes. And if you have a question for Haley, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat. It should be at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We're going to try to work through as many as possible over the next 20 minutes. So Haley, you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. All right. So first question, do you have any advice for those of us whose extreme distress with uncertainty makes even the idea of dating makes us physically and viscerally uncomfortable?
Yeah, I mean, the advice is going to be like doing exposures. I think that, one of the best things about ERP is that you go from like most tolerable to least tolerable on your hierarchy.
Mhm.
And I think that working with a therapist to figure out how you can slowly work your way up to your biggest exposures, like 100 out of 100, is so important. I think a lot of people hear about exposure therapy and think that they're going to jump all the way to the scariest thing ever. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go to a psychic. That's my 100 out of 100. No one is making me do that, right? But I think that's also because, like, that's not really my value. My value is not going to a psychic, right? With dating, it's so important to understand what your value is and like why partnership would be important to you. And I think for me, when I'm scared shitless, like the only thing I can come back to is my values. I really lead a like values-based lifestyle, not a feelings-based lifestyle. Um, and as I didn't see my part when I was diagnosed with OCD, I refused to see my partner for 3 weeks. I was so scared. And I had to see my partner. And we are still together, everyone. And every day I could break up with him, but I haven't so far. Um, and every time I've done a big exposure, I'm like, I can't do it. There's no way I can do it. I want to die. This is the worst thing ever. But like I'm living proof that you can. Everyone in my support group is living proof that I mean, I cannot tell you the things that I have seen them do over the past 4 years. I always say if we could go back and tell ourselves year one what we would be doing now, we would not have believed it. So I think, when you're working with the right therapist, you start small. And you don't have to believe that you can do it, but I believe that you can do it. But what you do have to remember and ground yourself in is your value.
Mm.
Why do you want a partner? Um, I mean, I know you deserve that, but you got to like dig in and be like, this is why. And this is why I'm not going to let OCD win. And this is why I get to have this. Um, yeah.
I love that. I literally wrote down values-based life, not feelings-based. That is so true because feelings and OCD, it's a whole, oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. Okay, next question. We got a couple ones about your support group. So, where did you get connected to your support group? Does it cost money? Are you required to attend? And what's the time commitment like? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, everyone in group has been referred by their ERP therapist.
Got it.
And it is like at this point it's a closed group. Um, Other OCD groups exist, but because I'm in mine, I don't often know where they are. I know Allegra Cassins, who's a dear friend of mine and an incredible OCD therapist. She has a support group, and I really like hope that OCD starts to do support groups. And maybe you do, and I'm wrong about that. Um, I believe it's $60 a week, my support group, but everybody has to be in ERP at the same time. So, or at least have done ERP like extensively because um it's really important that people have a shared language, especially so that we don't contribute to each other's compulsions and we don't offer reassurance. And pretty much everyone is on medication too. And I say that because, like, I believe that the best healing comes from the pairing of ERP and medication. That's my opinion. A lot of therapists share that opinion, but it is my opinion. Um, and that makes it so that we're really able to do some great work together.
Hmm. Love that. I also wanted to take a second for those that don't know what ERP is. It's exposure response prevention therapy. It's the gold standard treatment for therapy. Here at NOCD, we specialize that. All of our therapists are specialized in that. And it's basically you expose yourself to your obsessions without performing any mental or physical compulsions, which technically rewires your brain to some degree, and you behave your way out of it instead of giving yourself reassurance. So just wanted to take a second. We do provide support groups as well. I know. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yay. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes. And then next question. Did you ever think inpatient treatment may be needed or when it can be helpful? I'm awaiting admission.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm sure it would have been great. Sometimes this is kind of crazy. Sometimes I wish I could go to inpatient because some people in group have gone and it sounds so amazing. And I know people who have had just excellent experiences and it's helped them so much. I think what I really wish is that I could have gone when I was 23, when I was experiencing the height of my scrupulosity OCD. I think I would have been like a perfect candidate for inpatient. I'm at a point in recovery now where um, I don't need that. I might at a different point in my life. And I think when I was diagnosed, I was in ERP twice a week, and I kind of like treated my life as like solely recovery for like 6 months because I was down bad. I think inpatient is incredible, and I've heard like such amazing things about exposures that you do there, and like oh my gosh, it sounds so cool. Um, I know that could be a weird thing for me to say, but like I think ERP is amazing and I think it is really cool. And I'm able to reflect back on exposures I've done. One thing I want to say just quickly is I never thought that I could drive because God was telling me that I wasn't meant to drive. And through doing ERP with my therapist and treating driving as an exposure, I have my license and I do drive a car now. And I got my license at 28 years old. So after a whole lifetime of telling myself I was going to kill everyone, I still think that, but it's such a good exposure. Anyway,
Incredible. Wow. Congrats. That's amazing.
thank you. I never would have believed it ever.
And here you are. Here you are. All right, next question. Can you tell us more about your sexual orientation OCD and how you navigated it or navigate it? This is something I'm dealing with, specifically doubting my own attraction to women due to my limited dating experience in that area. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, sexual orientation OCD is one of my big themes now. I think a big part of that is because I like take up a lot of space as a bisexual on the internet and as a bisexual author. My book's behind me. Um, I think I care so deeply about the queer community. I think that it's just like so normal to have imposter syndrome, especially as a bisexual person. I came out when I was like 24. Um, and I love being bi, and my brain decided to glom onto that and was like, let's take this away from you. And that really sucks, but I really do live according to my values. Obviously, I'm in a relationship with a trans man. I write books about being gay. I don't think I'll ever not write a book with a bisexual protagonist. I show up on the internet. Proudly am bisexual dream girl. I put that as the tagline in everything I do. Um, the limited dating experience, like that's just your brain saying like it's because of that. I was in a long-term relationship with a queer person and my obsession was still I'm not gay, right? Like so I think that's a little bit of your brain trying to like logic your way out of it. And I really do every day of my life say maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm not. And I still show up with my wise mind, with my value as a writer, with my deep appreciation for queerness. And I know I both know I'm gay and I don't. And I think what's amazing about ERP is it's led me to a place where I can accept that dialectic and not try to solve it. I mean, I was spending like 14 hours on Reddit trying to solve my sexuality. It was miserable. I just get to be a gay person who's confused sometimes because I can love a cis man. I'd prefer not to, but I can. And I also can be in queer relationships and I prefer it. But It's just going to be the question. But what I'll tell you is this, you deserve to date. You just deserve to date. You deserve to get to know people and kiss people and like learn about yourself in a relationship. You get to make mistakes. You get to be wrong. You're just like everyone else and you have OCD. But people fuck it up all the time. We're just like perfectionists with the most insane moral and ethical standards because our brain is wired so differently. But like, you get to be wrong, you get to be right. Every day can be different. I know it's really hard to imagine what I'm saying applies to you. You're not the exception, though. OCD is always going to tell you you're the exception. This is going to work for everyone else. It's going to work for me, but it's never going to work for you. That's what having OCD is. So, yeah, that's my answer, I guess.
That was so good. Thank you. All right. Do you feel like you can trust a gut feeling now? Do you have any daily tools that you use to tell if it is OCD versus your intuition slash gut? I've hugely struggled trusting my gut or trusting my own mind.
I just take it off the table. It's not important to me.
Mm,
I will say that, like, there's little areas of my life where I have a lot of trust in myself. I usually have like some good trust in my career. If I feel like I'm in danger on the subway because someone is like being really shady, I'm gonna switch subway cars. Like, there's that part of like, I have an awareness. I can trust my body to a certain extent. But I think what I did for a long time is I just like cut that stuff out cold turkey. Like, I think it's a really dangerous, slippery slope. And I really prefer values. I don't need to ask my intuition if something is right or wrong. I can look at my values. Is this aligned with my values? Okay, I'm going to do that. Even if the feeling is telling me it's not. The feeling is so deeply convincing,
mm.
right? It is so true with a capital T, and somehow it's also not. And so for me, no intuition. I don't need it. I have a wonderful life. Why do I need that?
So good. I love that. Love that. All right. Do you have any advice for how to best help your support system support you, as in how to help someone without OCD, especially a live-in partner, understand how to support you without reassurance?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Number one thing is don't be the educator, have them educate themselves. Use like resources like me, the essays I've written, send them or show them this recording. You know, use the tools that NOCD offers. Just like send it their way, right? You don't need to do the labor of that. That's really, really hard. And then from there, what I do feel like you have a responsibility to do is really think about what does help when you're in a spike or a spiral. So I have like what I call a drop-down menu of options. Um, I have well, first of all, I have a no reassurance policy. If there's a 0.01% that it's OCD, we cut it out. My partner like is like, I think Josh is in the room. I can't talk right now. And like goes and I don't know, cooks or something, does his Legos. Um, so no reassurance policy. Validation through the roof, though. I'm so sorry that your brain is being so mean to you right now. I'm so proud of you for sitting in this discomfort. Um, I think it's so amazing that you are willing to move through this, even though it's so frustrating and so upsetting. I feel bad for you. That's my favorite. I just want people to feel so fucking bad for me because I feel so bad. That feels like love to me. Um, make Draw me a bath or put on the shower. have me call my mom to talk about just like what she did with the dog that day. Not talk about, I don't need to talk about OCD stuff. Sometimes I just need to listen to someone else and remember other people have a life and it's not all about me. Go on a walk with me. Or if I'm like past my window for discomfort, I take my as needed medication. So I'm on daily medication and then I have my as needed medication because I don't need to put myself through hell. It's just not, I'm not interested in that in my life. So, yeah, you prepare your drop down menu when you're not actively in a spike, and then your partner has that list and is able to pick one. And my partner is a therapist, but didn't get trained in any OCD stuff because, as we know, like most therapists are largely uneducated about OCD. But what he says a lot is that like OCD is actually one of the easiest things to support because it's all about boundaries. It's all about him having proper boundaries with me so he doesn't get roped into my obsessions and my compulsions. So I think one of the hardest things for people to understand is that by not giving you reassurance or not going in with you or talking it out or keeping your eyes on the problem and solving it, it feels like I'm abandoning you. But when you cut off OCD from like leeching onto you by asserting a boundary, that's love. And I have a little like tantrum after I feel really agitated and edgy, like I just want to talk to you about this for 6 hours, but then it dissipates. Or even if it doesn't dissipate, I'd rather be really uncomfortable than go on a bender because I feel like shit after a bender. I mean, it's like worse than any hangover that you could ever have. So I choose that over that.
That is incredible. I I love that how, it may seem like to your loved ones that it's counterintuitive, like they're not a lot of people, your loved ones just want to give you reassurance, and
Or
it's they want you to feel better, but what they don't know is that's actually reinforcing the cycle.
just feeding the beast, just feeding
Yep.
the beast. And
Yep.
also, one of the things that I say, because I think about all the times I've roped people I love into my compulsions with me, I feel like, damn, like that wasn't me. I wasn't there. I wasn't present. That was all Josh.
Yep.
And my one of my values is like I don't treat my friends and my family and my loved ones that way. I don't rope them into my compulsions with me. That's not fair to them. And of course, I have a lot of compassion for undiagnosed Haley who didn't know why she was doing that. But now I have to be much more value aligned. And sometimes I think of myself as like I'm parenting my OCD. Like we don't do that. It's not nice. It's not kind. Because sometimes I look back and I'm like, it's almost like I wasn't in the room. I was totally dissociated and I made them stay with me for hours on hours. Like I'm so grateful to my mom for doing that with me, but I also feel bad about it. I have a lot of compassion. I don't hate myself because of it, but I don't do that anymore. That's not fair to my loved ones.
Wow, that's great advice. Thank you. And I think how you're talking about it is really relatable and real. So thank you so much for taking the time and just telling people your story. You're so authentic. And I also did ERP therapy actually through an OCD, and it completely changed my life. Before, I call it like before and after ERP therapy. I tried,
Absolutely.
yeah, tried everything, and it was ERP that really helped me. And actually, before we end today, want to tell you guys, everybody listening, we have an amazing, unique, and limited opportunity here at NOCD for Mental Health Awareness Month. Our clinical experts here at NOCD, Patrick McGrath, he's our Chief Clinical Officer, and other leaders such as Tracy Ibrahim, who you may see on Instagram, they're running an exclusive free 15-minute one-on-one consultation call through the end of this month. There's limited spots, and it's just 15 minutes where you not only get to talk to OCD specialists, but these are experts, and they don't get to do this a lot. And you can ask them questions, how diagnosis works, what treatment looks like, what living with OCD looks like. And, when you have OCD, there's a lot of questions to it. You don't really know where to start. You don't know where to look. You don't know if it's OCD or not. And this would be a great opportunity for you to just get answers from not only OCD specialists, but experts in their field. They've dedicated their lives to researching this. It's a one-on-one private call, and they've been really passionate about it this month, especially because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're just trying to be as helpful to the community as possible. So these are free 15-minute one-on-one consultation calls with our clinical experts. So I believe there's a link in the chat that was sent. And yep, it was sent. So make sure to click on that to schedule your free 15-minute consultation call with our clinical experts. They can't wait to talk to you and to provide some hope for you. So wanted to end with that. And Haley, you were incredible. I just love listening to your story and can't wait for your book to come out. And just so thankful for all that you do for the OCD community too. I mean, just sharing your story and wanting to bring awareness to everyone is really inspiring to me and I'm sure everybody else. So thank you, Haley.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. I think I like look back at pre-diagnosis. I could never imagine like being in the place that I am now. And yeah, I want to just shout out that if you didn't know me before today, I'm very online. I'm on Instagram. I do an advice column every Wednesday where you can ask me questions about OCD, amongst other things. I'll be sharing snippets of Cave Girl as I lead up to my like pub season. Pre-orders will go live in the next 6 months. Pre-orders are life-changing for authors if you didn't know that. So yeah, I'd love to see you on the internet and eventually on a book tour, and I can't wait to share Cave Girl with you.
Yay. Can't wait to read it. It's going to be amazing. There's a question in the chat also. Can Canadians do the free consultation? Yes. Please give us a call and they'll be happy to direct you to the next step. So, again, thank you guys so much for joining. Definitely follow Haley on socials, and our social is at Treat My OCD as well. Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys online and happy Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yay.